So today I'm going to be talking about the Chromalive pen light and how to operate it, how to use it, all the fun stuff that goes behind working with light therapy. This is the Elite Silver pen light, and I was just looking in stock and I didn't have any of the basic pen lights, but I have an older one which I got initially when Martina first started with the pen light system. This one is a little bit fancy and it's a gold model, but nonetheless it's still the basic pen light. Ideally, when you're working on yourself, either pen light will do the job. When I first started, I started with the basic pen light because Oramed hadn't come out with the Elite model, and I just got all my practice in with the basic pen light until about 5 years in, she came out with the bigger Elite model. And the main difference with the Elite is it has a broad tip. You'll notice it's about 1 inch in diameter, where the puncture form tip, it's more like a pen tip, so it's smaller, and this is really good for doing the reflexology points on the hand. So I'll be talking about that as well. Now, before we started at 3 o'clock, we were talking a little bit about light, and it's important to understand that all light comes to us via the sunlight, but when sunlight isn't available, or if we want to do healing modalities, we can then use the concept of light healing without having the sun's rays. So what I mean by that is, of course, our main energy source is the sunlight, but the sunlight is broken down into the 7 different colors, so we can use the 7 different colors for healing. And just using light to support that, then of course we transfer the light frequency via the light that's emitted through the lens. Now, with the Oramed system, the Chromalive pen light, she made it so it's a very simple apparatus, but everything to do with it is quality. The pen light itself, the tip, is a clear quartz crystal, and that crystal has no flaws in it. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's absolutely no. And the reason being is, previous to this, I had bought in somebody else's pen light system, and it was a raw crystal, and the light frequency wasn't as sharp and crisp as it is with the Chromalive. And with the Chromalive pen light, you're going to be able to see how strong of a light source it is, and that there is no interference with any flaws that are in the crystal. So it is a man-made crystal, but without any flaws. Now, when we put the color filter in, what it does is it amplifies the light energy, and the light is emitted by an LED, and it's a very high quality LED, so the bulb will last a long time. But it's a very simple color filter, and it's color all the way through. Unlike some sets that I've seen out there, the filter is painted. Well, if you scratch the paint off the filter, then you're going to get pure light coming through. With this, even if the filter is scratched, it's not going to make a difference. So even though we may see it as a simple filter, again, it's the purity of the color. And Martina is working off the basis of a few different concepts that are out there when it comes to light therapy. This book, Let There Be Light, it is a book that we sell, and you can find it online. This is what I refer to as the color Bible. Right on. I see somebody flashing there, Let There Be Light book. This is the color Bible because it was Darius Dinshaw in the late 1800s, early 1900s that did research with light therapy. And when I first started light therapy, prior to being introduced to Oramed products, I actually had done exactly what Darius Dinshaw mentioned in the book, where I set up a theatrical light, and I bought large filters that I would put in front of the theatrical light. Now, the whole system cost me several $100s because they don't sell filters just like this. They sell sheets of filters. So I had to buy each sheet of filter, and then I had to put it into cardboard, staple it shut, and then I had to then put it in the pinpoint light. Now, one of the things that also happened was I was burning through filters, and it was a little dangerous because these lamps get quite hot. With the LED source and the way that Martina's created the model, it doesn't overheat, so you don't have to worry about burning filters or burning yourself for that matter. A couple times I touched the lamp, directly, and I literally burnt my fingertips. So this is a very safe way to do it. Plus, when Darius Dinshaw was writing his protocols, he talked about applying the light therapy for a half hour per zone. Are you kidding? That means to do a whole treatment on the body, it could literally take several hours. By using a crystal tip, what we're doing is we're amplifying the energy. And there's a whole science behind crystalline energy, but crystals amplify energy. So by putting the color behind the crystal and then having the light shine through, we're amplifying those light signals exponentially. And this is really important because now what we've done is we've cut down the healing time from a half hour or 20 minutes to 30 minutes to literally 3 to 4 minutes. So that's how much faster it'll work. Now, Martina also, when she created the pen light, she created it with a tip where you can massage the puncture form or the pressure point areas or reflexology areas. So simply by pressing, what you're doing is you're also stimulating that reflex zone combined with color therapy. So as you can imagine, now we're taking the principle of light therapy combined with crystal therapy, now with pressure treatment. So we can really expand on a treatment. But before we get into the color protocols, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the pen light because I get questions, and I know when you get the pen light, you get I created a cheat sheet on everything that you need to do to, keep the longevity of the pen light operating. But I created this cheat sheet just in a snapshot to give you some ideas. So I'm going to take the pen light apart just so you can sort of see the components. She made it as a screw tip to make it really simple. The first models were like a clicker, like a pen, and that caused some problems. So she just decided to make it very simple, where when the metal end hit the battery at the end, it then when it hit the light would create the power. So again, very, very, very simple. It goes with 3 AAA batteries. You just simply put it in, screw the back end back on, and voila, you will have light. Super simple. So there's very few things that can go wrong with it over time, other than the battery bracket, something happening there, which, by the way, all batteries leak. There is no battery that's been made yet that does not leak. So therefore, if you're not using the pen light for a period of time, take the batteries out, because otherwise, if they leak, then it'll corrode the bracket, and you can try to clean it out. And I can share with you, you can just take a toothbrush and gently clean out the corrosion. But if it's heavy duty corrosion, then you'd have to replace the battery bracket, which we do carry extra parts for. But the pen light, like I said, there's very few things that can go wrong. It's either going to be the battery bracket or the light has expired or broken somehow. The crystal tip, as I mentioned, it's a clear quartz crystal tip. And I just wanted to go back and show you that. The 2 different tips. One is a very tiny tip, more like a dull pencil, and the other one is a 1 inch broad tip. The smaller tip is great for doing reflexology and color therapy, where the broad tip is awesome for doing facials as well as body work. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. Now, both tips can be removed, and I forgot to bring my screwdriver. I was going to show you that, but literally all we have to do is take a screwdriver. We can unscrew the tip, take out the tip, clean it if we want, because sometimes when you're using essential oils, the essential oils can get embedded in the tip head where the metal hits the crystal. So sometimes a little bit of oil will get right in there. So by taking out the head, you can wash the head with soapy water. Don't wash the metal, because obviously we don't want any water on it that could eventually corrode it if it's not dried properly. But what I do is I'll take Aura Cleanser, put it on a microfiber cloth, and just in between sessions, wipe the crystal head off. And the reason why I recommend the Aura Cleanser, for one, the Aura Cleanser will literally cleanse the crystals from any negative influence that might have been absorbed during the healing treatment. But also, the Aura Cleanser does have a bit of high-grade medicinal rubbing alcohol in it, so it also will help to clean the crystal tip from any muck. But again, unless you use a lot of essential oils, then it makes it more difficult. And I always prime the hand or the face or the body with oils ahead of time. So this way, the pen light will be more glidable, because if somebody has a little bit of grip from too much sweat, or if they don't have any sweat or perspiration on their hand, then the pen light can actually hurt, because if it grips, it could grab the skin and pull the skin. Likewise, if it's too dry, then it could just irritate more so. So sometimes it's nice to have a little lubrication by putting in some essential oils. And for today's demonstration, I brought the Skin Renew, because the Skin Renew is great for anti-aging and a lot of blemishes. And I tell everyone, I use the pen light for everything. Almost every single day I use it, and sometimes 2-3 times a day. It depends on what's going on. However, if I don't have anything physical that I'm working on, I just do anti-aging treatments, and I'll just show you briefly that as well as we move forward with today's talk. But so if anything, I'm doing anti-aging. Otherwise, I'm just working on different things myself. Now, I always recommend you hold the tip upside down when you're putting the filter in, because when you put the filter in this way, it makes it easy to drop in and then put the components back together, versus if you're trying to do this, then it gets quite awkward, because if you juggle, then it may fall off. Now, another thing that I did was I have made Sacred Geometry gels to go with the Elite Pen Light set. This isn't what Oramed provides. This is something that I did, because I can also understand we can empower the color through Sacred Geometry. So what I did was I made 2 color filters for every color. So this way you cut out the filter to be circular. I don't do that for you. I let you do some of the hard work, okay? But I cut out the filter for you, and then this way, once you put the color in, you can put the corresponding color filter, and I make them a little bit different. So for example, for red, I have it in a square that says, I am red's passion, or I have the 4 flowers that say, I am red's health. So I've done different for every color, and I also did a heart and a yin-yang symbol as well. But once you've cut out the filter, you just put that on top of the color, and voila, you have now embedded the light therapy treatment with Sacred Geometry. So this way you're even exciting it more so. Now imagine, as you're also doing a treatment, and I put in the red light, as you're doing, say, for example, a red treatment, that you start affirming what it is that you want from that red power. So along here is our spine, which is our body's chi and energy. So just by simply moving this along, and either with yourself or if you're doing a client, saying something along the line is, I am strong, I am healthy, I have an amplitude of energy, I am motivated, I am driven. And it could be something as simple as, I am strong, I am healthy, I am strong, I am healthy. By chanting the same words over and over again, what we're doing is we're putting consciousness. And if you've heard some of my other videos or joined my other classes, I always talk about it takes 68 seconds to start the manifestation process, but because most of us have a thought only 3 seconds or less, then this is one of the reasons why we don't create. Now, by doing the light therapy treatment, and just by simply doing or reciting the same affirmation over and over again, that's very powerful. And then if you send the client home with tools where maybe they are buying the red oil to go with it, and they're doing a self-manipulation by just putting the oil on the area of treatment and then massaging it with their finger, or you can sell them tumble gemstones, and they can use the tumble gemstone to massage the oil in. So this is how you can, again, support the client by having them take away some tools so they start doing homework at home. I am huge on homework, because I tell everyone, sure, when you come see me, we're going to make some color magic. But when you go home, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, well, that's the definition of insanity, right? So you want to start doing things yourself. So this way you're participating in your healing journey, and then the energy is more likely to stick. Even though they may not have the pen light, or if you want, you can rent them the pen light. But if they don't have the pen light, you want to have them go home and do certain things that will help empower them. Now, I wanted to show you, even just by doing those few seconds, you can see that my root chakra got a little bit stronger. Now, of course, a couple minutes went by, but I just want to show you. And I'm not applying hard pressure. I'm applying pressure though, because again, I am doing a bit of a reflex treatment, meaning I'm stimulating the organs and glands that are connected in that area. And again, I'll just show you. I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see a little bit of a stimuli. So often when you're doing the color therapy treatments, you'll see redness come in, because the purpose of it is to raise the blood into the area that's deficient. Because in TCM, for example, traditional Chinese medicine, when blood goes to the area of where the sickness is, the sickness then dissipates, because wherever blood is, that means there's healthy energy flow. So just by even doing that red treatment, what we're doing is we're doing that stimuli of the red energy, and we're stimulating all the organs and glands that are in connection with that. And when you get the pen light, you get the chart that tells you where the different organs and glands are. So this way, you can show the client, okay, what we're doing is we're working here, and all this location, for example, is the spine area. And because we've assessed that your chi is weak, and maybe we're using the bile pulsar, and we've assessed the client's spine as being weak, then we know by doing that red light treatment up and down the spine area is going to stimulate their chi. It's going to activate their spinal energy and help them be stronger and more motivated. So the correlating affirmations will again support that. Now, when we're doing a treatment, how do you know how to treat? Well, there's a few ways to assess. There's obviously the bile pulsar that makes it super easy peasy, because you stick somebody's hand on the bile pulsar and poof, within a few seconds, you know where they're energetically weak and you can tonate accordingly. However, you can also read the body and determine where there can be areas of weakness. So for example, if you see somebody's shoulders are off, then you know that energetically there's a weakness there. Or if they're hunched forward, then you know again there's an energetic weakness there. So then you would cause of the neck and the shoulder. And if you're ever wanting to do an example, the neck and the shoulder is in this region right here, do a couple-minute treatment. And in fact, because most people have stress in that area, by using the pen light and moving the pen light, I can even feel crunchies in my own hand. And crunchies are the hardenings that are creating that energetic blockage in that area. So if you have the pen light, you want to take that pen light and just massage it just in that area here between the pinky finger going down into the padding area here. That is the neck and shoulder region. And again, I just want to do a bit of stimuli, so this way I can show you guys, how that pathway starts to get vital with red. So I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah, I can see it on the screen. So you can see how that pathway of the red is starting to come up my finger just by doing a 1-minute treatment. Now I can also press and release. Now, if you do a bit of hand assessment, wherever there's crevices in the hand or wherever there's paleness is indicating where the life flow is less. So most people will have more power here. So you'll see padding in this area as well. You'll see more redness, but sometimes you'll see crevices in between the padding. The greater the crevice, the indicating factor, the more the lack of the energy flow. So you want to make sure the hand is nicely padded. I did a whole bunch of models on the bile pulsar. Every single one of them, their palm was white as a ghost, and the concaveness of it was so much so, which again was indicating they didn't have a lot of power in the stomach, because they were all very thin and borderline what I would call anorexic, if not anorexic. You could see the damage that was done to the stomach region, because their stomach went concave physically, just as it was very concave on an energetic level in the palm area, which all is about the digestive area. Okay, so again, we can read the palm. Wherever there's not the redness, then we know there's lack of energy flow. Wherever there's more redness, then we know there's more energy flow. And as well, you can simply ask the client, why are you here? Where do you feel pain and suffering? And that's where you're going to focus your intention. So if somebody says, well, I've got stiffness in my neck and shoulder, then right away, you've got your chart and you'll know how to treat it. And on the biopulsar, whenever we see a low energy, we're always going to tonate with a faster frequency. So if the energy is, low frequency, you may see it in a pale color, which is indicating there's no life force, or it might feel cold to the touch as well. Because when there's no energy flow, it's going to feel very cool or cold to the touch. On the other side, if an organ is hot and inflamed, if you touch it, it's going to feel warm. So that would be the difference in the temperatures and how you would treat. So if something is red hot, we would use blue light. Or if something is cold or pale, we would use red light. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Now, because for some of you who might have an older pen light, let me know if you don't have this chart and I will email it to you. This is a chart that I created years later. This one I've always included with the Chromalive, but this one I created years later. And, I just want to make sure for anybody, because I know a few people online bought their pen light several years ago. So if you don't have this, I'm happy to email it to you. So this way you have it to go with your pen light. But when you buy a pen light, you automatically get these two charts where this is broken down into the reflex zones and this is broken down into the color science. And this chart is wonderful because right away it teaches you about the healing attributes of the color therapy. So for example, on the chart, red is stimulating and warming. It's expanding and invigorating. The only way I can describe it is because it's heat, it expands. Whereas when something is cold like ice, after you see ice or water get frozen, the ice shrinks. So things that are cold are shrinking. Colors that are hot, and I should say colors that are cold are shrinking, where colors that are warming are expanding. So red, out of all the color spectral colors, is the most warming and expanding and invigorating. Now, it goes into some other health issues, which of course, once you get the pen light, then it gives you a good base of understanding. So for example, if you need to help somebody build up their blood, right here it tells you it's blood building. Now, it also illustrates the complementary color because obviously once you heat something up, then you want to make sure that you're not making it too cold. So it's just giving you sort of the polarity, the extremities. Now, also in Chromalive regulation therapy, we always end a treatment with green or blue. And the reason why we do that, because once we stimulate, we don't want to overexcite it. So by stimulating it with green or turquoise, then what we're doing is we're stabilizing it at a certain level where it won't get too excited. Likewise, if something is overexcited and we're calming it down, we don't want to calm it down where it's totally sedated. We want to make sure that we're leaving it in the mid-range so it's in that balanced state. So we always recommend that we end with green and turquoise. And Darius Dinshaw also talked about that in his book. He used a lot of green to stabilize. When it comes to color therapy, the only time we don't use green is if somebody has cancer that is growing, because green can actually promote growth. So turquoise would be more safe to use in situations like that. But a lot of times when the cancer is malignant, even before I had the pen light, I want to share a couple stories with you because I had a kitty cat, and this little kitty cat got in a cat fight, and he came home and he actually ended up where the other cat must have stuck his claw into my cat's eye. And I saw right away my cat was in distress. And so I took my cat to the vet, and I, of course I'm in a panic because my cat's eye is swollen and pus is coming out and it looks quite, quite serious. And the vet said, well, it looked like he's gotten something in his eye, probably a cat fight. And because his eye actually had a hole in it. a puncture from the cat's claw. And I said to him, what can I do? And he said, well, to be honest, I don't think there's anything you can do. And I said, you know what? I'm a holistic practitioner. Nothing is too far-fetched for me. So anything you've heard. And he goes, well, I heard golden seal is was it golden seal or ginkgo? Now I can't remember. One of the two, good for the eyes. He said, you may want to feed your cat that. So of course I had some, and I was cutting the capsule and putting it in his food. But because I knew what I knew, and I had the old modified system of doing light therapy, which was Dinshaw's system using the light, I set up my light apparatus system and I put in the indigo light. And all I did was shine the light on him. Now, if you knew my cat was not the kind of cat that would just laze around. He was always on the go. He was quite the prowess. He was always, trying to get into trouble. So when I shone that indigo light on him, he literally didn't move. He just basked in that indigo light. I knew right away that things were moving because within a couple days, he was able to open his eyes. And 2 weeks later, I took him back to the vet, and the vet went, I don't know what you did, but there is no hole in his eye. Because I understood indigo is an astringent, and indigo will help to close a wound very quickly. And so anyways, after the 2-week period, my cat had no problem with his eye. However, he did get in another fight, and this time he got the claws on his back, which turned into abscesses. And again, what do you think I did? But this time I combined the indigo light with lavender oil. And I could tell you that lavender oil dried up the mucus that was in that pus so quickly that literally by the end of the day, his wound was already shrinking. And after a couple light therapy treatments, the wounds were totally gone. This time I didn't even take him to the vet because I understood that the light therapy would work instantaneous. So when you're doing light therapy, I'm sure you're going to develop your own stories, but the only way you can develop the stories is by using the light therapy on everything. Again, I think I shared on another video some other stories that I had about using the light therapy on my toes and, not feeling any pain or problem. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, my toenails fall off. Where again, had I not done the light therapy, they would have probably been dark and black, and I would have automatically understood my toenails were going to fall off, versus doing the light therapy, there was no damage whatsoever happened. And I still even remember the first story from, I think it was one of our first practitioners that bought the Chromalive, where she had 2 stories she shared with me. One, her daughter was stung by a bee, and right away she applied the blue light, and normally she would get the EpiPen. Before they could even use the EpiPen on her, the blue light right away started to counterbalance the poison. And so therefore the swelling literally disappeared within a half hour. And I don't know if it was the same child or one of her other children got the door slammed in a truck, and right away the hand started turning, color, and there was a cut on the hand and, bruising, and right away pull out the pen light, put it and apply the blue light. And with a half hour, literally the bruising, the swelling all disappeared, that you could barely notice other than the slight cut that had penetrated the hand. So these are the things that I hear all the time about how, the pen light helps with healing. And again, I could share with you dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds of stories about people using the pen light. But back to learning how to use the pen light, that's where we're at. So you have to have some understanding of what the colors can do. So red is warming. Now, orange is an antispasmodic, yellow is detoxifying, green is nurturing, and it has a positive effect on the whole metabolic system. Also, green is a disinfectant, and I always think about pine essential oil or pine oil. We know how powerful that is as a disinfectant. Well, of course, pine oil comes from a green tree, and thus is the green energy. Turquoise, also very positive for the metabolic processes, and it's in between the green and the blue, so it can be very calming and sedating. Now, blue is an antiseptic, and as well it is cooling, and it's a natural anti-inflammatory. Indigo are astringent and violet is purifying. And in fact, my chiropractor, before he retired, told me that he had a blood disorder, and what they did in the hospital is they took out his blood and they put it through an ultraviolet filter and then put the blood back in his body. And I'm going, oh my goodness, all he needed was a Chromalive with, the magenta violet light. And that's all he would have needed. However, he went through this more painful method. And this is some of the ways that we can use the pen light. For example, using that magenta light for purifying the blood versus we would use the red light for strengthening the blood. Okay. Now, I'll start with the basic puncture form tip. As I mentioned, we can use this as a stimuli by pressing, points. So all you would do is press, and I don't know if you can really see how hard I'm pressing, but it's not pressing to hurt, it's just pressing to apply pressure, and then we can release. And we don't have to take the pen light off, but we can press and lighten it, press and lighten it, press and lighten it. By doing this, we're creating a stimuli. Now, of course, with COVID, that's even making things more awkward. So, either you want to wear gloves. So if you're handling the client's hand, then we're just sort of, being more protective, or we can use an antiseptic, like a rubbing alcohol to clean, or a cleanser, or something like eucalyptus hydrosol, which would have the same antiseptic qualities, or tea tree hydrosol, which would have the same antiseptic qualities as rubbing alcohol, but be more natural based. But nonetheless, we may put something on the hand to just create that barrier of protection. So if anybody's concerned about COVID, then again, we're just going to assist them on that level. Now, you don't have to touch the hand. You'll notice that the light is quite strong, and these batteries aren't even fresh. I should have put some fresh ones in there to show you, but nonetheless, you can see that puncture form tip is still quite powerful. So we can just simply hold the light over the area that we want to treat. I prefer to also combine it with that puncture form treatment for more stimuli. Okay, and then in the accompanying booklet that Oramed provides, there is dozens of recommendations of light therapy. And again, if you've lost your booklet, or this booklet doesn't look familiar to you, and you have a Chromalive pen light, let me know and I'll send out one by email to you, so you have the label. They haven't modified it in a few years, but nonetheless, it's more or less I'm inviting anybody who may have not gotten this initially. But I wanted to show that in here, they give you a lot of different protocols. So that one, for example, is loss of appetite, but they give you a lot of different protocols that you can treat, from flatulence and gas to high blood pressure to pancreatic conditions, arthritis. So in the booklet is a whole bunch of protocols that literally are step-by-step guidelines on how we can treat the body, really made simple. And most of the recipes that she has in here are for common symptoms. And again, that's what I like, because I think we make things too complicated, and we just have to look at the simplicity. And again, if you have the biopulsar, then you can use the biopulsar for diagnosing, or study the hand, or ask questions. I also have a 5-page client intake form that is chakra coded, that as well accompanies the pen light, so you can use that to determine where the person has a lot of physical issues. But I also wanted to show you how I use Darius Dinshaw's book. So occasionally I'll get a client that says, oh, I just had one with gout. So here's a good example. So a client comes to you and they tell you that they have gout. So here it says use lemon and magenta on the systematic front. Well, at the beginning of the book, it tells you what the systematic front is. Literally, it's several organs and glands all relating to, like, the liver, the digestive system, and so forth. So what you would do is you would use yellow and orange on those reflex points or directly over the body. And then you would follow it by magenta on number 18. And again, now because I've said that, I've got to go back to the front of the book to show you what they're referring to. So it has the body broken down into different numbers. So you would use it all, systematic front is numbers 1 to 11. And then as well, you would tonate additionally the number 7 organ, which is the liver, with the magenta. And then you would end it with scarlet. And then, of course, we always recommend turquoise. So what you're doing is you would be following the organs that it tells you to tonate in here if you don't have the biopulsar. So a really simple way, and they list over 300 illnesses in here. Now, even though I have the biopulsar, I like to sometimes refer to this booklet still when somebody tells me they have a certain symptom. So then I know, oh, they have gout. So what I need to do is I need to look at these organs that relate to gout. And then I can look on the biopulsar to see what organs are imbalanced to get a further indication of what my next steps will be for protocols. Okay, so that's how you can use the Let There Be Light book. And I want to share another story with you, which again is just a mind-boggling story. But in here, Darius Dinshaw talks about how this young girl was burned in a fire. Well, one of my coworkers, Maria, got a phone call, and her brother was in a house fire. And because he had 3 daughters, he actually would take one daughter through the fire out of the house, ran back in, got the other daughter. And as you can imagine, after running back in 3 times to save his children, he was very severely burned, where 90% of his body was burned with 3rd-degree burns. And I said to Maria, you know what? In this book, Let There Be Light, Darius Dinshaw talks about using the blue light on a burn victim. And her brother was out of in a different city. So I lent her my personal pen light, and I said, take this pen light and just use the blue light on him. Because it was fresh burns, of course, we would never apply the pen light to the body, rather just the light therapy. I also can tell you we made a modified lavender floral water product where I took a full 5 mils of pure high-grade lavender oil, which we carry, and I put it in the lavender floral water, or hydrosol, and boosted it additionally. And so what the family did was they were spraying his body quite at a distance. So it wasn't like they were spraying directly on the body, which could hurt. They were just doing a very, very light mist of lavender oil on his body, combined with continuous blue light. She told me that her brother said that the blue light took away the pain. And the doctors estimated it would take a year before he got out of the hospital. His recovery was so fast, got out after months. And when the new skin underneath the burnt skin started to show itself and started to peel back, the doctor made mention that the skin was like a baby skin because it was so nice. So again, that's something else that I do. If you ever, stick your hands in the oven and get a little burn, or you touch something that's hot, lavender oil with the blue light works awesome. So Maria ended up buying her own pen light, and she had a 2-year-old baby that was teething, and she would use the indigo blue light on him, and that would take away his pain and nullify the sensation of the pain. Indigo nullifies pain. So it's something that I've even gotten myself to wear indigo glasses. For example, when I was getting some tooth surgery, I opted for no pain medication, no freezing. I just wore the indigo light, I just wore the indigo glasses, and I had the whole procedure without any problems or any pain. So anything to do with the light therapy, honestly, every day, this is my world, just constantly using light therapy in all modalities. So with the pen light, I showed you how to apply it on the reflex zones, and how to do a treatment by either massaging in lines or by doing press and release, okay? Now with the broad tip, we have a little bit more that we can do with it because it covers a wider area. So when you're doing an area of the body, so for example, let's just say you want to kickstart somebody's fire element in their palm, you can see how much of a wider area we can do with the broad tip versus the puncture form tip. And if you only have the base pen light and you're doing a business, then you can always upgrade your pen light where you have a elite that you use in your practice and rent out the basic pen light. Why not put it to use where people can take it home and use it for a week at a time where they could do multiple treatments? Now, one of the things is, ideally, we want to do 2 to 3 light therapy treatments on a client a day, but the feasibility is limited because most customers aren't going to be coming back twice a day. So we have to make sure that they're doing other things that will support that treatment. So whether you're renting out a pen light and they're taking it home where they can do multiple treatments a day, or provide them with an essential oil blend that corresponds with the color frequency that you want. And again, maybe, get them using a gemstone or just simply using their fingers. So they're doing the stimuli with the essential oil, and combine it with an affirmation that corresponds with whatever it is that you're working on with them. So that way, again, they're enhancing their own dynamics by doing their own work. Okay. But with the broad tip, it allows you to do large areas. Now, normally when I do my anti-aging treatments, I use orange. And the reason why I use orange is connected to the energy of youth. And orange also provides oxygen in areas where there's dryness. And also in areas where there's dryness or a little life force, orange is the water element. So wherever there's wrinkles, that's where you want to use the orange energy. So every day when I drive to the office, Nikolai's driving and I'm doing my light therapy treatment. So every day for 15 minutes, first thing in the morning, he's my chauffeur and I do my own treatment. I always wonder what people must think as they're driving by me, because there I am with the pen light on my face almost every morning. So all I do for my own wrinkles is I hold the pen light there for, a couple minutes, and then I just move it down. And then I usually move it in 2-3 places, and then I do the other eye. Now, of course, I can go around the eyes and, in fact, do the figure 8, right? And just go around the eyes and do the light therapy treatment that way. But wherever you see a wrinkle or anything, you just hold the pen light there, and you can massage where there's harder bones. So on the chin, as well as the forehead, you can actually rub a little bit harder to erase those lines. But wherever the skin is more delicate, specifically around the eyes, you just hold the pen light there for, like I said, 2 to 3 minutes, moving it around, and just what we call, tonating the wrinkles away. So very, very easy to do a facial. Now, when it comes to the body, again, this is really nice for rubbing on the body. So as you can see, I can apply quite a bit of pressure. And so we can go along the whole body. Now, when you subscribe to the Chromalive course, then we teach you all these protocols in a more refined manner, because obviously we're having you really study the dynamics of how to use the Chromalive and amplify the treatment, by doing specific things. But I'm giving you actually quite a bit of information today as to how things work. Now, I wanted to show you our beautiful crystals. These are our Brazilian crystals. They are harvested by a crystal whisperer in Brazil who calls out to the stones, and they only take the crystals that respond back that they want to be part of a chakra balancing treatment. Ta-da! So they know they're coming to color energy, which is wonderful. And they're cut in the shape of a teardrop. So this way, depending on how you want to harness the energy, for example, if, and I'll use the indigo since I was going to demonstrate on the brow, but when you put the corresponding stone to that chakra point, if somebody needs more energy, you point the stone upwards. If you need to release some energy in that chakra, you point it downwards. And then there's a few other positions we teach that have to do with energy dynamics. Now, I want to show you this one too. This is an celestial amethyst. You don't see these stones anywhere, but they're celestial. Oh, look at that. I'm trying to shine it in the light so you can see some of the features of it. The one I showed you previously is actually a Lemurian, and the Lemurian crystal was found in Brazil approximately in the year 2000, and it's one of the strongest gemstones, and you can actually see barcodes in there. I'm trying to get it so I can show you some stuff, but it's hard to do on video. But nonetheless, these crystals are just heavenly, and because they're harvested ethically and they come to us knowing that they're going to be doing chakra work, we sell these crystals for laying on the body and doing chakra work, and we give you the schematics on how to do a chakra balancing treatment. And of course, using the pen light. Now, I do have a red light in here, but literally when you use the light therapy on the crystal, what you're doing is you're activating the crystal to then further put the energy into the physicality. And when you hit the crystal, you're actually creating a piezoelectrical charge. But even the light alone will create that piezoelectrical charge. This is why by using crystals with color light therapy is incredible, because it will just amplify the energy so much more by activating the crystal with light. There's a few ways to activate the crystal, and light therapy is one of them. So I highly, suggest when you're using the pen light that, you can even work with the crystals. Now, obviously, if you're doing a massage, you don't want the crystal on the body, but if you're doing an energy treatment where you're laying the crystal on that chakra point and then tonating the chakra point, that's what I'm more referring to in regards to the light therapy treatment. So again, you've got the broad tip as well as the puncture form tip for doing a multitude of treatments. And I forgot to mention, it also comes with technical manual, plus I give you that sheet, so it takes you through there. And because of the Elite, you can also double up on filters. So if you want to make more of a peach orange, you can do that by taking the yellow and the orange and combining them together. So on the sheet, I also give you the protocol on how you can create other colors with the 7 colors that come with the set. I also wanted to show you a couple other things, because as you guys know, I'm a component of trying to give you as much information based on the direction you want to go in light therapy. So when you purchase the pen light, you have access for purchase one of my sheets, which goes into the face zones and the hand zones. Plus, I give you the protocols on how to do a Chromalive facial. I also have a sheet here for a hand treatment. And this is another sheet that just gives the indication of how you can simply teach people how to do a chakra treatment on their hands. And again, you may want to sell the gemstones or the essential oils that go with it, so they have their own set of chakra balancing tools that they can do by having them. And I'm just going to grab that set. I think there's one behind me. Yep, there is. It's nice to have the showroom at my disposal here. But when you buy a chakra set, you get 7 tumbled gemstones in the bag, instructions, and then again, if you're using them for chakra balancing or getting your client to use them, then they could also place the oil on, their chakra point, put on the gemstone, and if you've rented them the pen light, then they can hold the pen light, or likewise, you can implement a chakra balancing treatment in your own practice. So if you're interested in that, then, give us a call, and either myself or one of my team here can talk to you about how you can incorporate all that. Plus, I brought some other tools. Skin Renew, just so you know, when I do anti-aging treatments, the Skin Renew has some beautiful oils in there that are actually known to be anti-wrinkles. So we have the rose oil in there, as well as, I don't have my, here, I was going to say, I don't have my glasses on, but I have my glasses here. So we have carrot seed and rosewood, or whole oil in there now. Actually, rosewood is now endangered, so we switched it out to whole wood. And rose otto. And rose otto is a very expensive rose oil. And literally what you would do, and if you're doing this in a treatment, you can take off the cap and just put a drop on your hand. Or what I like to do when I'm doing a facial with a client is this becomes part of the treatment. So I've incorporated that cost, so I can apply it right on their wrinkle zones. And by applying it on their wrinkle zones and then doing, either the magenta pink light or the orange light right on those zones, and then they can take the bottle home with them. Okay, because again, I want clients to take tools home based on whatever it is I'm doing. So if I'm doing an anti-aging treatment, then obviously I would want them to be purchasing some anti-aging products. And if you guys have not tried our rejuvenating serum, must have. I've been using this product for, I'm sure about 15 years now. My face is very sensitive, and in fact, because of the sun, I ended up with a little bit of sun damage on my lips, but nonetheless, I'm always using this on my face. It's the only cream that my face hasn't reacted to, because it's just loaded with, again, all kinds of wonderful things. And it was made by this incredible guy who's been trained in, I want to say wrinkle therapy, but skin therapy. But it has sea ester, DMAE, vitamin A, CoQ10, and in a base of some other essential oils. And we do have our illuminating lotion, which is also a wonderful skin and body cream, and you can use it on the face. I prefer the serum because it's much thinner, and this is meant for the eyes as well as the face. And of course, we have a facial toner. And in fact, if you spray your face with a toner first and then apply the cream on, it glides much nicer. But when you're doing a light therapy treatment on the face, you want to have some lubrication, especially around the eyes. You don't want the pen light to grab the skin and pull the skin away from the eyes. So you want to have that glide there. And, you know, just even by putting a little bit of Skin Renew on my face there, I could just feel the difference of how it glides on my face much, much nicer versus areas that I didn't put the Skin Renew on. Now, another thing I just wanted to introduce that I totally forgot about, but we have a red light system here, and just to quickly show you, it's called Red Light. And this is a cheaper item, or I shouldn't say cheaper, a less expensive tool that you can sell your client for anti-aging, where they can do the light therapy on their own face. And it primarily has the red light combined with a few of the yellow lights in there. I was going to say molecules, but not molecules, but yellow lights. So they could even use it on their face as well. Because a lot of people are low on the root chakra, they could even just do their own root chakra treatment daily. So this is a really nice little device, and it's quite cute. It's called Apple Light, and it comes in this funky little pink container that looks like a pink apple. And of course, you have a carrying bag so you can take it everywhere with you. So I just wanted to talk about that because obviously that's also a component of light therapy. And there's more ways that we can use the pen light. For example, you can tonate your beverages with light therapy. So if I want red water, or I want to charge whatever I'm drinking more with red energy, I can hold it over or just hold it on the light. And I can actually charge my drinking water with the Chromalive. So I'm an outside of the box thinker, and so I always like to use the pen light in ways. And if you belly button for 15 minutes, you're actually stimulating your blood with. And what he said was he would get clients to hold the yellow light in their belly button for 15 minutes to do a cleansing of their blood. Now, I mentioned that you can use magenta for purifying the blood, red for strengthening the blood. So we can use the different colors in our belly button to, again, activate what it is that we, the intention of the healing protocol that we're putting forth with the client. Okay. And I see somebody there with their little kitty cat. So we are making a feline chart for Chromalive, but right now we do have the dog version, and it goes into all the different attributes of in this instant, the canine species, just talking about the different personalities of the animals, what oils are safe to use on dogs, and we're going to be making a feline version as well as a version for horses. So we are making more charts for light therapy to do with animals. There we go. Brilliant. So we're almost at an hour. And so at this point, as I always do, we're going to just open this up to any questions. So does anybody have a question? Please start.
Hi, Susanne. This is Bhushan. Thank you very much for enlightening me. I didn't know that there is so much to color therapy, but wow. But you said something about reflexology points and stuff like that. Is there a booklet that comes with it?
You get Martina's booklet that teaches you how to do the different treatments.
Okay.
Unless, and I remember talking to Martina about this. She said, unless you're trained in, acupuncture, then we can't really be teaching that concept. Where what she's done is it's more based on Darius Dinshaw. And quite honestly, Darius Dinshaw's system is, he's what I call the grandfather of light therapy. He's the one that paved the way for us to do light therapy because he partnered with a medical doctor in a hospital in New Jersey. So he really paved the way for light therapy at that time. And of course, now with the Chromalive and all these other light tools that have come out, light therapy has become more popular. But to me, I don't like to make things difficult. I've never ventured to learning more about acupuncture because I feel that what Martina has provided literally is everything we need to get started. We don't have to be an acupuncturist to learn how to use the pen light. But her booklet does have a lot of information. And Martina recommended this booklet, and it's one we sell as well. This is for treating animals. And it goes more into the pressure points of animals. But for humans, I think it's more complicated. And so she has sort of stayed away from that. And there's another couple schools out there that teach light therapy based on acupuncture. And a lot of these practitioners end up buying our pen light and working with our system because it's much, much simpler.
I have a question, Paula.
Hi, Paula. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for all this information. I had a question about your kitty cat.
Sure.
So when you were using the indigo on light pen, did you shine it on his closed eye?
Yeah.
Is that where you had it?
Yeah, and with the Chromalive, because the power, the wattage is much greater than the system I used, the Chromalive, you've got to be very careful around the eyes. As a manufacturer, as a manufacturer representative, I can't tell you to shine it in the eyes. However, I've tested it myself. And at a distance, it's not as strong. I would never put it directly over my eye. I've done it quickly over the eyes with my eyes closed. And I can even tell you I've done it with my eyes open, but it's not anything I can recommend because I don't know the safety of it. We haven't tested it in that way.
Well, your cat had a puncture in his eyeball.
Yeah.
So his eyelid was closed. So you didn't have it right on top, but you had it a little bit away from the eyeball.
Yeah, because I was working with a lamp, it was about a foot away.
Oh, it was a lamp.
Yeah, because at the time I didn't have the Chromalive, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way. But the old-fashioned way, it takes long. That's why I love the Chromalive power. We have the crystalline energy, and then if we can combine it with aromatherapy or essences, then again we're the energy modality becomes that much more potent.
Oh, I guess I didn't hear the word lamp.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. But now,
Susanne,
I was just going to mention, now my dog, I use the pen light on because I have the pen light, and the lamp was so cumbersome and awkward. Now I do light therapy treatments on my dog.
Okay.
I saw you point out the Dinshaw book.
Yeah.
I think if I saw it correctly, it was a 12th edition.
Yeah, I would imagine they've gone through a few editions. I have one at home that is a different edition, but every time, because we buy them in bulk from the Institute, and so when we buy them in bulk, we can sell them to you for a reasonable price. But so occasionally there's been an updated version, but I still use my original version, which is quite dog. What did they call it?
Dog-eared.
Dog-eared. Yes, thank you.
I've got a question about the chart.
Yeah.
There are 9 colors on the color therapy chart, but with the Chromalife, there's 7 discs. So of the ones that are different on the chart than what the discs are there combinations that you can use with what comes with it to get those other colors? Okay.
Yeah. So the indigo is a little bit more difficult to manufacture, and I've done a lot of playing with this because I do have a bunch of filters beyond what Oramed has given us. But indigo light is very difficult to come through with light, and it's just a fact. It's not anything to do with the filter, it's just a fact. To replicate an indigo blue light is very difficult to do with color therapy. So Martina has a turquoise instead of the indigo, and the magenta is like a magenta violet, because magenta and violet, literally, we're just talking about a 10% difference in the red. That's what we're referring to. But in Europe, magenta is used more readily for color healing. So I think that's why Martina opted for the magenta. But you can mix the blue and magenta or the blue and red to get varying degrees of a purple color.
Thank you.
And that's why I like the Elite, because you can double the filters and create more colors. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.